Hello, YouTubers. Just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents in on this annual meeting they just had Saturday and Sunday, whatever. Um, so it was funny. Went there because I was just curious about what they were going to say and talk about, and and they had told us to be ready to be there 3 hours, and we got the live one and live streaming. That wound up being closer to 4 hours, which really sucked because the first part was so dull and boring. I'm in the middle of writing a book right now, and I actually sat there for a good hour of that program writing on my book, and and then I was tired and I actually dozed off a couple of times. And but I wasn't the only one. Naturally, there was others. Brother, I just he's a very nice guy, and him and I still talk all the time. And he was in just a little bit behind me on the seat, and he fell asleep and dropped all his stuff in his lap. And there was other people that it was just that dull and boring. But my reason for being there is because I wanted to see the actual um, annual meeting part of it, with the seven dwarves. And it was funny because how they did it was the chairman was Jeffrey Jackson. If you saw it, you already know this. So Jeffrey Jackson was the he was the chairman, and then he was trying to be kind of upbeat, but it not like he normally was. It was almost like he had a hard time kind of making that what he normally would be able to do. It was almost forced. It was really weird. And it was at that, it was at the time when they started that annual meeting part of it, where they were going to reveal some stuff and talk about some stuff. That's when things got eerie, almost like the Twilight Zone. I mean, I truly mean that when I say it, because that's exactly the way it felt. I felt like it was in the Twilight Zone, because I've never seen a meeting go on like that before. And okay, so Garrett Loesch actually did the dedication talk, and that was just as dry as dirt. And I think I nodded off through that one too. And then they brought out the other five of the seven dwarves and brought them out there to do their thing. And I was sitting there thinking, oh God, here we go. It's going to be another couple of hours. But I have to admit, I was very surprised. Those guys usually get up there and they drone on and on and on, because I think they love to hear themselves speak, especially Tony Tight Pants. And everybody knows that. Okay. So, but they kept it very short. So these five guys got up there, and each of them just took like 10 minutes, maybe 15 at the very most. And I think Tony Tight Pants, I think, took the most, but that's par for the course. But what was so funny to me was everything was so subdued, and they would crack a joke, and everybody at Warwick would, and laughing like it was so funny, and you can tell that was forced. And only a few, maybe half of the people in the congregation chuckled, and theirs was like very forced. I watched an elder who was catty corner to me. He was up a couple of aisles ahead in the middle. I was on the side, and I was looking at him, and I mean, not just not being nosy or anything like that, but I was just kind of watching his behavior, his body language, and he clapped maybe half of the time. You know how everybody, you go to a convention or assembly, everybody's clap happy. They're ready to just start clapping at everything. Somebody says hello, everybody wants to start clapping. And even at the end of the session, everybody got to clap. It's like, really? What's that all about? So they didn't do that so much with this one. They did, enough. And only half of the people would clap, and when they did, it was like the golf clap. Remember the golf clap? And it was just so weird. And half of the time, this brother, this elder, did not clap. And and it made me start to wonder, is some of this stuff starting to get to him as well? And the brother that I spoke of earlier, that's a good friend of mine, very, very kind man. He's done so much for me and my family, and I love him for it, because he did this out of the kindness of his heart. And and he keeps wanting to do something with me, because he likes to talk to me and everything. And I found out, I didn't really realize this, but I had found out that his wife was a witness at one time, and she left. They're still together, of course, which I'm glad to hear that. But she doesn't come or anything. I don't think I've ever met her ever in the several years that I've lived in this town. And so he actually finally had come up to me and was telling me he felt bad because she didn't come to any of the meetings or anything like that, or conventions, assemblies. And I was thinking, oh, here's your chance, you can help this guy out. And so I told him, I said, don't worry about that stuff, man. Your wife is being seen in the eyes of Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you wish to call him, and the same as anybody else. Nobody is set up a higher or more priority than anybody else. I say he loves her just as much as he loves you, me, and everybody else. And I said, you can't say that this organization is the only channel for God to use, for Jesus to use, Holy Spirit, whatever. And I said, we can't judge. So we can't say who's going to make it, who's not. Even if Armageddon becomes something that has always been portrayed, which I am beginning to think that if Armageddon does happen, it's going to be something that I think perhaps the rest of human society is probably not going to even know. I just don't see this big to-do that they've always talked about for a couple of thousand years. So anyway, I'm digressing. But at the end of the discussion with him, he was so overjoyed. I mean, tears were coming out of his eyes. Tears were coming out of my eyes. And he gives big bear hugs, because he used to be a firefighter. So he's still quite strong. He's retired, but he's still strong. And he just about choked the air out of me. But it made him feel so good to hear that. And I'm so glad that I was able to do that for him. And that hopefully, that made him feel a lot better for good times to come. So, but going on with the annual meeting, everybody was subdued, and it was just so weird, just so bizarre. It's almost like, I don't know what to think of it. It was just really crazy. So then Tony Morris comes out there, and and he does his thing. Now, all of you know out there in YouTube, all of you know in the XJW community how fiery he is in his discourses. And he likes to be like he's going to drop some knowledge on you. You know, what was it he said? Something to the effect of, have your children got baptized yet? Oh, do they have a driver's license? Oh, you don't get a driver's license if you don't get baptized. You don't get a driver's license if you're not going to pioneer. And then he would even say, have you gone to your favorite amusement parks? How come you haven't come to Bethel yet? You know, just bullcrap like that. And it's like, it makes you want to just deck him, knock him on his ass. And because he's just a jerk. Everybody understands that. He's a butthole. Excuse me for my language, but that's just the way I see him. But when he was up there, I think he was more subdued than the other four that preceded him. He did not use that fiery speech. And he even got to where he was mentioning not everybody's watching the broadcast. And they don't. There's just too much in there. Not everybody reads all the literature. Too much. And it was like he finding himself to acquiesce to this. And he's like, do many of you, are you able to get to all that? And he says, I'm seeing some heads shaking. And he says, that's okay. That's okay. And it was like he was turning over, you know, some, of course that's short-lived. Yeah, I know that. But it was just so bizarre how it all unfolded. And of course, all in the idea of that things are speeding up and we are now really close to the end. I'm 46. I've been hearing that for well over 30 years, 35 years at least. My parents were hearing that back in the 30s and 40s, for crying out loud. So where is it the time is reduced when you've had 80 years go by and nothing's happened yet? And so when are they going to change that? Well, anyway, so it came down to this. They've built their compound, and I'm just wondering if things start falling apart, that these goofballs run into that headquarters and shut themselves in, you know, as if to say Armageddon's coming. Or, and I hope this doesn't happen, I truly, for everybody's sake, I truly hope this doesn't happen, but something similar to Jim Jones, where they'll say, things are getting bad now, everybody come on up to Warwick. We've got room in basements for everybody. We're going to wait out the end of this system of things. And then everybody wind up dying down there. And that's a worst case scenario. I don't think that'll happen. As much of a cult as the Watchtower has become over the generations, I don't think they're quite that bad. And I could be wrong, and I hope that I'm not, just because nobody wants to see that again. But I just wanted to share that information with everybody because, yeah, it was truly weird. That whole thing. It was like, wow, okay. So such a boring 4 hours that I could have probably spent doing something much more enjoyable, much more productive. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind. It's for the kids, mostly because they're really getting into it, and I just trying to give them the support that they're going to need, and try and keep them balanced. I just want to keep them balanced. and I want to keep myself balanced too, so I stay away as much as I can. Unfortunately, I have to go at least on Wednesday night just because the kids want to go, and the rest of the family doesn't want to go in the evening, and that's okay. I don't mind sitting there. Everybody treats me good, yeah, and everybody there is actually very nice. I don't think I've ever been in a congregation where there was one person that I really would rather not be around. It's like there might be two people, and that's it. The rest, everybody's just very sweet, very kind, and everybody loves to give hugs, and I'm okay with that. I'm good with that, and I don't mind being there and talking to them. But when I go there, I just do my own thing, and I sit there and I write on my book with my iPad. I do other things sometimes while I'm in there, but I don't follow along in there. I just, of course, my ears are perked up to wait and see if I hear something that I don't like. That way, when I get done and it's time to go home, I can tell my kids, okay, I want to show you something wrong with what they said. And I've had to do that a number of times, and I'm glad I did that. And they get a little upset about it, but they're beginning to understand, I hope. And my kids are wonderful. They wouldn't do a terrible thing to anybody. That would never come into their minds. They're just that way, and they're like me and their mother. We're just not like that. But anyway, I wanted to share that with everybody. I hope that everybody's doing okay. I know our pasts have been difficult for us to get through, and we've had a lot of issues. There's so much anxiety and depression, and I'd really like to do one on that because I have truly suffered from a lot of that, and I've gained a lot of ground on it, but it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I gained a lot of ground, but I got a lot more ground to cover, and I would like to do that in hopes that it might help others who are really having some anxiety issues, and they're getting fed up, and they're just so sad. And I don't want to see that. If my words can pardon me, if my words can do something to help somebody to feel a little better and to come up out of that cloud, that choking cloud, then I feel great. But if I can help other people, that's what I want to do. And that's why I continue to subject myself to this stuff. Not because I don't feel badly towards anybody in the Watchtower. I just don't like the teachings. I don't like the policies, and I'm a strong advocate for changes on all of that stuff. But the people themselves, my heart goes out to them, because there's some good people, some very kind people, and God help me if I ever do run into a pedophile, because then this calm exterior is going to be gone. It's going to be gone. That's just all there is to it. I'm not going to put up with that. If I see it, if I hear about it, I will go after it. Up until then, nice, calm, usual self. That's just who I am. Okay, so that ends my little rant for today. And I thank you for watching and listening. And if anybody has anything they'd like to share, if they went, if they heard certain things, please comment below, give me a like, and give me a subscribe. I know I'm not as great as the other guys, but I do have fun doing this, and I like to do more. And if you like it, please say so. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I love you all, and I wish everybody well. And please take care of yourselves and your families. God bless you.